Fox 2 News at 5 starts now.
We begin tonight with gunfire on another local freeway. You can see a car on the shoulder with bullet holes right in the back window. A woman was shot several times while riding in the back of an Uber.
Westbound I-94 at Livernois is back open tonight after it was shut down for several hours. Fox 2's Jessica Dupnack is live now with more. Jessica.
We're at the part of this story where there are more questions than answers. What we do know, a 34-year-old woman in the hospital this evening after being shot multiple times in the backseat of an Uber. Now, it was a quick-thinking state police trooper that administered a tourniquet on her leg immediately when he got on scene this morning. But for right now, the suspects, the folks that shot her, still out there. Look at the scene. I-94 at Livernois in Detroit early Friday morning. That Dodge Durango pulled off on the shoulder, an Uber driver behind the wheel. His passenger, a 34-year-old woman in the back seat. That's when a dark-colored sedan pulled up, unleashing gunfire. The passenger was hit multiple times.
One of them that was more serious was to her thigh. The trooper applied a tourniquet at the time, and then they were able to get her off to a local hospital.
She was in fair condition when she got to the hospital and is still there. It started around 6 o'clock in the morning. The Uber driver picked her up from her Detroit home. Lieutenant Mike Shaw says the state police freeway investigative support team piecing together what happened.
We're not hearing anything about a road rage. Nobody's talking about that. That's part of the things that we're going to be looking at as she followed.
The Uber driver was not hurt, and he did not have any markings on his car, letting others know he was a rideshare. They don't believe it had anything to do with the shooting. Casings recovered at the scene, analyzed to hopefully trace back to the weapon.
The technology that we have now, I still have no idea why people decide that they want to commit a crime anymore. We're going to catch them eventually. It's just a matter of time.
As of Friday afternoon, the suspect or suspects still out there.
If you have something you want to say, feel free to get yourself an attorney or whatever and come on down and talk to us.
Lieutenant Shaw there says they will be relying on license plate readers. There are quite a few in the Metro Detroit area. He is hoping that one of them picked up the suspect's plate. Reporting live, Jessica Dupnack, Fox 2 News.
Yeah, certainly hoping for that, Jessica. I mean, it's just such a frightening situation because anytime there's a shooting on these freeways, we're all using these freeways. We all feel like this could be any of us. And in this case, it's hard to tell right now if this was random or targeted.
Yeah, for right now, they're working their way backwards, saying that they don't think it looks like road rage at this point. The assumption is that maybe she was followed, but you really don't know at this point. But you make a really good point, Amy. 6 a.m. on the highway, commuter traffic. Maybe somebody saw something or heard something that could be helpful to MSP.
We sure hope so. All right, as always, Jessica Dupnack, we appreciate you. Thanks so much.
Well, it's going to be a gorgeous weekend for everything going on outside, including, by the way, the Detroit Grand Prix, which we have coverage of that coming up. But
so
you can
exciting.
Ask for better
I know.
weather for this.
So let's get to Fox 2 meteorologist Stephanie Mead for more on the forecast. Hi, Stephanie.
Yeah, hey guys, it's been a hot day so far. Temps today managed to warm to the upper 80s. We're just shy of that 90-degree mark. We'll see if we uptick even more as we head through later on today. Otherwise, the average at 76, the record at 95. So we're most certainly feeling that summer-like heat. And you'll also notice maybe that humidity going up a little bit as well. Most of us here pretty close to the 90-degree mark, 90 in Lansing, 84 to 90 degrees along Lake Michigan here this afternoon, 89 right now in Detroit. We're all dry too, so we're not seeing any shower activity pop. A lot of that is well west of us at this point. We do, however, have that opportunity for a hit or miss shower potentially tomorrow afternoon. Not necessarily seeing that chance though heading into tonight. We're still holding strong in the upper 80s through about 7 o'clock. By 9, we're still at 80 degrees and then mid 70s by around, say, 11 o'clock midnight later on tonight. Lows still very warm in the middle 60s. We do see another warm day tomorrow. Then eventually we cool down. We'll show you those numbers in the forecast here coming up in just a few minutes. Roop?
All right, the Grand Prix is back in downtown Detroit for the first time in decades. Skyfox giving us a live look at the 1.7-mile track. A big weekend for the city and race fans. The city is looking glorious. Today is free pre-day, and that means some of the grandstands are free of charge. There's a total of 9 viewing platforms, giving crowds a close look at the action. Tonight, it's some of the qualifying rounds. The first race is at noon tomorrow, with more racing on Sunday, including the main event at 3:45 that afternoon.
Cars going 190 miles an hour legally down Jefferson Avenue. Cars coming behind us here in turn 8, 145 miles an hour. Speeds will be incredible. The excitement will be incredible.
This is different because it's brand new. You know, no one's ever seen this track before. You know, usually we get to drive on the simulator to prepare for it, and because it's so new, like, we didn't even have a simulator.
So cool. More events are planned at Hart Plaza and Cadillac Square, including concerts tonight and tomorrow.
And this weekend's races taking over many streets, as we just saw in downtown Detroit. So if you are heading to the city, there are some things you should know before you go.
Yeah, this is important. Traffic Authority Kelly Rowe revs it up for us, giving us a closer look.
The Detroit Grand Prix is finally here, and you know what that means. Road closures. Getting around downtown Detroit is going to be a little bit more difficult. But the biggest thing you need to know is that drivers on 375 trying to get downtown, you now must exit at Lafayette unless you're trying to get to Canada, or you will have a Grand Prix parking permit. This is going to take us until 5 o'clock Monday morning, that closure. And as you can imagine, this is where the track is. So the lodge heading southbound, that's closed between Larned and Griswold. This one a little bit longer, until 5 a.m. on Wednesday. That's you won't be able to use that until then. And as you can imagine, since the track is over here, there will be a ton of smaller road closures. Expect all sorts of impacts on Atwater, Bates, Randolph, Beaubien, Franklin, and Jefferson, and more. So just expect a lot of traffic and a lot of closures, and pack your patience on that one. All this information can be found on fox2detroit.com and our app. Guys, back to you.
Potpourri of color on that map.
Absolutely.
Red, blue, yellow, everything you got. Well, an important day for the Detroit PAL organization as they host PAL Day.
It is a fun day for kids who just completed a 7-week program building relationships with law enforcement. Fox 2's Brandon Hudson takes us to the Corner Ballpark for the big event.
The weather is hot.
2, 3,
And the competition on the field is hotter.
we do this. Everybody hands on deck. We do this. Hands on deck.
Dozens of Detroit middle schoolers battling for bragging rights at the Corner Ballpark for PAL Day.
We've had a lot of fun with PAL and critical conversations and things like that. And I actually appreciate some of the things that they do for us.
Behind all the fun, there's a valuable lesson about policing in the community.
We're all in this together. It's not police and community, it's all one thing.
Friday's event is the conclusion of the Ford Critical Conversations program, a 7-week initiative where Detroit middle schoolers learn about the roles police play in our neighborhoods and how to have better interactions with them. Detroit PAL CEO Fred Hunter.
And as they start to learn and see different perspectives, you can see not only their knowledge increasing, but their connection with the officers increasing.
So I see the smile on your face. What does it mean to see the smile on the kids' faces?
It means that the program's working.
A couple of students said they would never pose with a police officer on social media before this program, and now that opinion has changed. And we feel good about that.
Corporal Marcus Norwood is a former PAL student. Now he's hopefully mentoring the next generation. Last year, less than 60% of Critical Conversations participants said they trusted law enforcement. That number jumped to more than 80% by the end of the program. We asked 8th grader Natalia Chappelle about this year's session.
What was your perception of police before you joined the program?
I wasn't very fond of the police, you know, kept my distance, stayed away.
What is your impression now?
It's still neutral, but I know that police are not like pictured and depicted like the way that all police officers are seen. So I know that they're cool, they're nice, and that you can talk to them and have interactions with them.
While this is the end of this Critical Conversations program, the hope is to continue this in the near future and hopefully take this program national. In Corktowner, Brandon Hudson, Fox 2 News.
Nice story. Thanks, Brandon, for that. Well, Stellantis and General Motors are hit with a pretty hefty fine by the feds. The automakers have been fined a combined $363 million for failing to meet U.S. fuel economy requirements. And this is how it breaks down. Stellantis was given a record-setting penalty of $236 million for vehicles from the 2018 to 2019 model years. Stellantis responded to the fine, saying those vehicles reflect the past performance record of Fiat Chrysler prior to the formation of Stellantis. The automaker adds that it is not indicative of the company's direction now. Meanwhile, GM is hit with a $128 million fine, saying they are working toward a zero emissions future.